Hi there once again, dear guys and girls. Welcome back. It's good to be back again. Um, I just wanted to touch on a subject, on a question that keeps coming up in almost every email that I receive from you is how do I love myself enough to say no to abuse, to leave the relationship? I know that I'm in an abusive relationship. I need to get out, but I can't seem to muster up the courage to do it. So I thought I'll just make a quick video on that. And, it's a very real question, of course. And especially when wanting to leave an abusive relationship, we tend to make up excuses for the abuser. We make up excuses for why we cannot leave, why we maybe should stay. So these are all the questions that it creates this inner war with yourself, and it adds to your level of stress, adds to your level of anxiety. So to just back that up right to the beginning, an abusive person thrives on power and control, and that power and control is over you. And the reason they do this is because they feel and they know that they do not have any power and control over themselves. And that is why this is projected onto you. Um, at the time when you have to interact with the abuser in your life, you take on this very protective mechanism. It's either the fight or the flight mechanism. And the fight mechanism is when you feel that you have to continuously defend yourself. If they are saying abusive things to you, they are messing with your mind, you go into the defense mode. So that is the fighting back. Or there is the flight mechanism where you just totally shut down, and you do not respond, and you sort of course you are hurting, and you tend to shut down your emotions, keep them to yourself, and go into a depression even. I know that this has, of course, it has a terrible impact when you shut down and you go into into the depths of depression. I went through it as well when coming out of abusive relationships, or when I was in them. And it was not that deep, but I did realize at some point that I even got to the point of not wanting to get out of bed in the morning, of not wanting to face the person, knowing that I had to interact with them that day, at whether it was over the phone, whether it was speaking to them, whether it was emailing them, whatever the case was at that point. So there was a slight depression, but I, of course, realized that when you have been in an abusive relationship for months, years on end, that you can go into a very deep depression. And because, when you are in that state, when you are in an abusive relationship, you are at your lowest. Your emotional frequency, your emotional state is very low. And when you are at that level of low, you find it almost impossible to believe that you can come out of that state at some point, that you are the one who is in control. You have control and power over your own life. But when you are vibrating at that very low emotional state, you just cannot see. You do not have that vision that is going to pull you through, up and out of the relationship. But it is there because you are definitely in control of your own happiness, your own power, your own life. Everything is in your control. But when you have been subjected to that level of abuse for so long, you forget about your own control. You forget that you have any say in your life. So this is also a reason why we tend to sort of stay in that lower vibration. And what you need to do is to, even if you can muster up just that little bit of courage to be able to say, I'm going to leave this relationship because it is not serving me, it is breaking me down, it is making me physically and mentally sick, ill, that is when you know you have to be aware of that. You know, when you are in, when you come into a certain level of awareness, of consciousness, you can raise that vibrational state. And of course, when you are completely no contact with the abuser in your life, that is when your emotional state takes on leaps and bounds, and then you can really bring it up to, you know, to be on par. So loving yourself enough to say no to abuse. You know, you feel the pain of your inner voice. You do feel that pain. Your inner voice is love. That is your own love that you are born with. That is your state of being, is that love within yourself. So when your intuition is telling you that you are being hurt, that you are unhappy, that you are not at peace, this is your inner voice speaking to you. And your inner voice is only coming to you from love. There is no need to be afraid of that inner voice. We choose to ignore it. We choose to sort of shut it down. But that is coming from a place of fear. We are fearful of taking control of our own lives, of moving forward. And that is why we shut it down. So, you know, the inner voice is also telling you that this abusive relationship is sucking the life out of you. It is draining you emotionally. It is draining you physically. You cannot function at a normal level anymore. And what you need is the vision of your own life. You need to have that vision. You need to be able to see in your own mind how your life will be and what your life will look like when you have left that abusive relationship. And I know it's a very difficult thing to do when you are vibrating from that very low state. When you are in the depths of despair, it is very hard, very difficult to have that vision for your life, to see your life from another perspective, to see what your life could be like when you have left and moved on. It is very difficult, but it is doable. So, to answer the question of how do I love myself enough, you know, there are three things that I used that enabled me to release all of this toxicity. And of course, I've been through narcissistic and emotional abuse with very many different people in my life. One too many, let me put it that way. There were about 3 or 4 people whom subjected me to emotional abuse. And I got to the point where I thought I have to do something. I knew my inner voice was telling me there is something wrong. You need to get out. You need to protect yourself. You need to move on with your life. This is not healthy. So this is our inner voice who is warning us. It's a beautiful thing, the inner voice. And you need to listen to that inner voice. So there are 3 things, again, that I did and that I would like to share with you. You know, just before I get into that, there comes a time when you realize you have to leave, but you may not be able to leave at that point in time for whatever reason. I mean, you know, there are very many personal reasons involved as well, which I absolutely understand. It is not that I'm saying when you come to the awareness you must step right out of the relationship. You might not be ready to leave yet, and that is okay. So in order to get to that point of you being ready to leave, and sometimes you've got to leave before you're ready, but just become aware of the state that you are in. Just become aware if you are half ready, if you are maybe a little bit ready, and just work with that. Just work on that as well. So the 3 things that I did, and which is what I offer to clients as well, offer when I answer emails on this very topic, is you need to start talking. Now, for some of you that may be difficult, you may just not be a talkative person, but I love talking. So I would talk about the predicament I was in. I would talk about the strange things that were happening in these relationships and friendships. I would talk to those whom I trusted, of course. Would get on the phone with other coaches, with therapists, and just talk about what I'd been through, trying to make it clear in my mind. Because as of course we all know, narcissistic and emotional abuse is very confusing. You are thrown between logic and emotions all the time. So I found that talking is so powerful when you open up your voice and you voice what you think may be going on, what is hurting you, what is troubling you. Talk about it with those whom you trust. So talk is one, and writing. Just get out your journal. That is what I love about journaling. Get it out and start writing down your situations, your experiences, your emotions, what you are feeling, how you are hurting, and also that bit about the vision for your life. Write that down. If it can be as small as saying, how will I feel when I leave this relationship? Just fantasize about how you're going to feel. Fantasize about the level of happiness, the level of relief, the level of joy when this person no longer has you in their grip. This is all part of envisioning your life. So just write that down. I spent hours writing when I was looking for a way to get out of these relationships. I did not have the courage to just stop it and leave. So I had to work, I had to lead myself through the whole process, because leaving is also a process. And of course the envisioning, that's the third thing, is envision your life, envision what you want to experience, envision about how your mental health will be when leaving, how the relationship with your children will be. If you are in a friendship, you could think about how leaving this abusive and toxic friendship is going to add to your level of joy, to your level of commitment, to your level of enjoying life when you have left the abusive relationship, when you are interacting with your children, with your partners, with other friends. This is all getting into your mind space, and also reprogramming what you were thinking. Because of course, when we are in abusive relationships, we are programmed by the narcissist to think a certain way, to be a certain way, to say certain things, and it's all about reprogramming. So again, taking your power back and reprogramming your own mind, which is, again, not an easy thing to do, but that it is a start. And you can take it from there. It's all about taking the little baby steps. It's not about putting, building this huge stepping out of the relationship. It's not about that. It's all about taking the baby steps that are going to make up the bigger picture. Another thing is that you have to recognize your worth. Know that it is them. It is not you. If someone says to you, the abuser, you are a terrible person, you are an evil person, you are an unloving person, there is no need to defend yourself in that, because they are simply projecting their own issues, their own fears, their own doubts onto you. So it is them, it is not you. This is something that you need to recognize. So it's recognizing your own worth. And just have that inner dialogue with yourself. When someone says you're a terrible person, you can say to yourself, I'm a loving person. I am worthy of love. I am worthy of kindness. And that is, again, reprogramming your own thoughts. Recognize your worth. And it is also building your mental shield. That is all what programming yourself is about. Is building up that mental shield so that whatever the abuser says to you or does to you, you know that it is not about you. It is all about them. You need to also honor your intelligence. You are intelligent enough to realize that you are in an abusive relationship. So honor those emotions, those feelings, those thoughts that you are having. And it is, again, that is your inner voice. It is telling you to recognize that this level of abuse is just not okay. It is destructive and it is toxic. And you have every right to break free from that. So that is part of loving yourself. Of course, I mean, you know, loving yourself is a very deep topic, and it is a beautiful, very rich topic. But I can only offer you so much in a video. This is all about learning to take those baby steps. And in doing so, you are building the courage to leave the relationship. And when your time is right, you will leave. I'm not going to say it's not going to be painful. Of course it's painful. But that is another phase you go into when you have left the relationship. You're going to feel that pain. You are going to go through all that grief. And you are going to start to heal. The only way to heal from narcissistic abuse, from emotional abuse is to break all contact. That is when your true healing starts. But prior to that, it is imperative that you start loving on yourself, that you start listening to that inner voice, because that inner voice is all just love. Thank you again for watching, and I hope to speak to you all very soon. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.